Hey, Chef Billy Parisi here, and thanks so much for coming through because today, oh today, my friends, we are gonna be hooking up an insanely delicious smoked St. Louis style spare ribs recipe. Ooh-wee, is it going to be amazing. When it comes to barbecue, to me, it means two things, smoke and time. It's not about just throwing a chicken breast out on the grill and then slathering it up with barbecue sauce and calling it barbecue. Sorry, my friends, it requires a little bit more effort than that and definitely a little bit more time than just doing that outside on the grill. But to each their own. And sometimes when it does come to barbecue, it's a little bit subjective, and there are a lot of professionals out there and their way is the only way and their way is the best way. You know what? Here's how I do it, and I can promise you it's absolutely delicious. When it comes to smoking anything, you obviously need a grill that can smoke. You can absolutely use a charcoal grill or a pellet smoker like I'm gonna be using, totally up to you, but you need to heat it up to in between 240 and 250 degrees, so get that rolling first. And also when it comes to smoking, you have to consider what sort of wood you want to use. I'm gonna be using apple in this recipe, but there are other great woods that work well, especially with ribs. Consider like fruit cuts really well into pork. So think cherry wood, peach wood, apple wood like I'm using. Alder is great. You know, some of the folks down south use a lot of pecan or oak or hickory if you live in Tennessee. I'm using apple, it's great, it's versatile, it's gonna infuse a ton of flavor into these ribs. Now let's take a look at what we wanna do to rub these ribs down. You can do it very simple with just salt and pepper. I'm gonna add a few more things here just for a little bit more flavor because I'm gonna balance it out with a little sweetened spritzer and the barbecue sauce. Don't worry, we'll get into that in just a moment. Don't freak out on me yet. So first for the rub. What we're gonna do in a little jar is add in some sea salt, some pepper, next some garlic granules, some onion granules, last but not least some paprika. Go ahead with a whisk and mix that goodness all together till it is completely combined. We are gonna set it to the side, and now let's have a look at these ribs. I'm gonna be using St. Louis style spare ribs, which are a cut that's a longer bone but closer to the belly of the pig. They are a little bit meatier, a little bit fattier, which of course means flavor. Fat equals flavor. Baby back ribs are a little bit more tender. They're kind of from the back area, also known as loin ribs. Think baby back, got it? So they come back from there. Those are great to cook as well. Spare ribs do take a little bit longer to cook because they are bigger. You probably need 7 to 8 hours to complete this recipe, so be sure to plan accordingly, okay? Don't be yelling at me because you've wasted half your day smoking. Well, it's never a waste when you're smoking anything. But with that being said, it's gonna take a half a day to do all this stuff, so get ready. Now we need to trim up these spare ribs a little bit. There's gonna be some sinew on the top part, just off to the side. You just simply wanna cut that off. And then on the flip side, there's something called the skirt, which you can simply trim off. A lot of this may be cut off from your butcher, but in case it's not, just trim it off. Great to set aside and actually just smoke separately, or honestly, if you want to cut it up and put it in something, it's really, really tasty meat. So last part, real quick, is the membrane that's on the back side of your ribs. Now, I've done a lot of research on this, and you can either leave it on or take it off. I don't think it's gonna make a difference. Here's my argument for leaving it on. It's gonna seal in some juices. It's gonna keep the rack in place, like as far as shape is concerned. If you take it off, maybe it's a little bit easier to eat, but it's thin enough that all of the seasonings and spices and smoke are gonna penetrate it. It's not gonna be an issue. But just to show you that there's no difference, we are gonna take one of them off of these spare ribs. You can use this with a paper towel or just sort of shove your fingers in between the membrane. You can see it right there. Shove it down in between and simply pull it across until it's all the way off. The next thing we're gonna do is rub this down with yellow mustard. You can absolutely use Dijon mustard here. Once you've rubbed it completely down on all sides, we now need to season it with that really tasty rub that we made. Sprinkle it on very, very evenly. We're not salting the driveway here to get rid of ice. We're seasoning food so that it tastes delicious. Don't cake it on. Gently season it, spread it around on both sides of your spare ribs. Once they are completely seasoned up, we are gonna take them right outside to that smoker. go ahead and set them down on the grates. And I like to sort of push them together because this almost acts like trussing. It sort of seals in the juices a little bit more instead of sort of stretching it out and putting it down on the grill. And to make sure there is moisture in the grill air, I've got a little metal pan that I'm gonna put on the rack on the very top of my grill. If you've got plenty of room in your grill, just put it to the side of the ribs, no problem. Add in about 4 cups of water. We're gonna close the door. We're gonna cook it for 1 hour. Again, we're in between 240 and 250 degrees. So during this first hour of smoking, what we're gonna do is make a little spritzer. This is a combination of liquid that we use to come back and spray the ribs down with. It keeps them moist and it's got some acid in there usually, which does help break down protein to make this more flavorful and more tender. So what I'm gonna do in a nice spray bottle, I'm first gonna add in some apple juice, followed up with some apple cider. Last but not least, I'm gonna pour in some cold water. We're gonna have about 3 cups total here, so simply a third, a third, a third. Put the top on, give it a few shakes just to make sure everything is combined. And then after that 1 hour of smoking, let's take a look. You can see they're starting to cook. What we wanna do is spritz it 8 to 10 times, give it a little spray on each rib. You'll notice that little liquid will bead on the top. That's perfect, no issue. Close the door. We're gonna repeat this process 3 more times. So in 30 minutes, which is an hour and a half total cooking time at this point, come back, open it up, take a look. You see they look beautiful. Same thing, 8 to 10 sprays on each rack. Close the door. 30 minutes later, this is 2 hours of total cooking time. Come back, give it some more spritzes. Shut the door. 30 more minutes, at this point 2.5 total hours. Give it some more spritzes, 8 to 10 again. Close the door. Now, during this period, we're gonna make sort of a mixed sauce, which is gonna be really tasty. I've seen a lot of people do this in their barbecue. This is right before we wrap it. They put either barbecue sauce or brown sugar or honey or parquet if you live in the South. I know a lot of folks use parquet butter on there. Adds lots of good flavor, but we're gonna make our own, okay? What we're gonna do is just simply measure out 1 cup of that spritzer. Remember, it's just equal parts apple juice, apple cider vinegar, and water. Go ahead and pour that into a measuring cup. We're gonna go over to the cooktop and in a very small little sauce pot, I'm gonna add that right in there. Next, I've got about 1 cup of barbecue sauce. You can use your absolute favorite sauce here. I wouldn't recommend a Carolina style, which is vinegary, because you're gonna have enough vinegar from that little spritzer we put in there. Last but not least, some whole unsalted butter. We're simply gonna mix this together until it is combined. The flavor in this thing is amazing. You are going to seriously love this. Go ahead and set it to the side. Now let's go outside and take a look at those ribs. They've been smoking for about 3 hours in between 240, 250 degrees. They look gorgeous. It smells insanely amazing here. Take them off of the grill. Be sure to keep that temperature holding in between 240 and 250. Go back over to where your cutting board is. What we want to do at this point is sort of sauce these beauties up before we wrap them. Go ahead and add about a 1/4 cup each of the sauce on each of the ribs, and using gloves if you've got some, or even just a brush, rub these into the ribs and do this on all sides. If you need to add a little more on the flip side after you do it, no problem at all. Just rub these down, get them completely coated in that delicious sauce. Now at this point, go over to some huge sheets of heavy duty aluminum foil. I'm gonna lay down just a little bit more sauce right here on this part, right where the ribs are gonna lay, and then bone side up, lay them down right into the sauce. Be sure to do it bone side up because you don't want it to rip through the foil. Now to fold these, there's no really magic trick, but what I do is fold up from the bottom, and then halfway through on the top, I fold it over, make sure it's nice and snug, and I flip that little lip over inside. Then I do the same with the left side. Fold it over, there's a little lip hanging off, fold that in. Do that to the other rack of ribs. Boom, we are done. Put it on a sheet tray, go back out to that smoker. Hopefully you're still holding for in between 240 and 250 degrees. We're gonna finish it off for in between 2 and 3 hours. This is all going to depend on how big your St. Louis spare ribs are. They may need a little bit longer, they may need a little bit shorter. And just to stop real quick, you may be wondering, like, why are you wrapping up these ribs? Well, when you wrap them, you help contain moisture. They're almost steaming in there. You've got that nice bark, that nice sort of outside crust built into that rib. It looks delicious, it smells amazing. We're infusing a little bit more flavor. We're sort of steam cooking them, getting the collagens and the fat to break down from the rib to add a ton of flavor here, you guys. I mean, this is the money part right here. So be sure to wrap these up. Now, if you want to know a foolproof method really quick, it's 3-2-1. That is a very traditional, sort of classic way to cook ribs. 3 hours unwrapped smoked, 2 hours wrapped smoked, 1 hour unwrapped smoked. It is literally foolproof. A ton of people do it. I'm not going to do it this time because, well, I don't know. I may not need to go all that way. It all depends, again, on your size, what temperature you're at, so on and so forth. So for the next 3 hours, go hang out and enjoy yourself, and we'll see you in a little bit. All right, you guys, our ribs are done. It just smells like so much gloriousness in this place. I mean, golly, is this good? I mean, once you start smoking food and doing it on your own and trying recipes and doing new things, man, you're never gonna go out to another barbecue joint again because you can do this at home. I mean, it is so good. There's nothing like home-cooked food, and there's nothing like home-cooked smoked food. Dude, bro, it's amazing. You need to get into this. Okay, we need to let it rest for another 30 to 45 minutes. I mean, that's just the nature of smoking anything. It all rests for at least 30 minutes, no matter if you're doing brisket, pulled pork. It's gotta rest, let all those juices soak back into that meat, all that flavor, let it cool down, harden up a little bit. It's gonna be so dang good when this is finished, no joke. And you're probably asking, well, how do you know when ribs are done? There's actually a few ways to tell. First, obviously, is temperature. However, it's a little bit flawed. The meat is thin, there's bones everywhere, so it's always gonna register way hotter than it actually is. But if you can find a nice fatty piece that's away from the bones, you wanna be in between 190 and 203 degrees. The other thing is to tell on the back side of the ribs, remember where we got rid of that membrane? If the meat starts to pull away from the bone, we know we're in good shape. Or if you kind of hold it in the center and it bends and the skin starts to break a little bit on top, we are in good shape. And contrary to popular belief, my friends, I'm sorry to say, ribs should not fall off the bone. When ribs don't fall off the bone and they gently pull away from the bone as they should, this is just my opinion and the opinion of several barbecue pit masters. This is called competition style. This is the best way to eat ribs. If not, you're just kind of eating slow cooker pork, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, once they are done resting, we're gonna simply open up the foil. You can see they are gorgeous. And the way to serve these bad boys up is by simply slicing them about 1 bone or 2 bones at a time, totally up to you. And usually I like to serve barbecue sauce on the side, but well, because these are all for me, I'm gonna pour it all over the top of this goodness. Yeah, let the barbecue sauce drip, my friends, especially if you're eating this all to yourself. These ribs are absolutely phenomenal, loaded with flavor, so delicious. I mean, dude, we made smoked ribs. And when it comes to barbecue, I do have to say this as well. You only start making good barbecue because you've made a ton of bad barbecue. Believe me, I made some disgusting, terrible, overcooked or undercooked barbecue in my life. It takes reps, it takes practice. You're all of a sudden not the most amazing barbecue pit master overnight. Again, get some practice, have some fun with this. And of course, we have to eat this. You know we can't wait any longer. It smells too amazing in here. You may have noticed too, in this video, a couple of missing pieces. Now I can't speak to who might have eaten those. Could have been me. Oh my gosh, you guys. That is so tender. I'm speechless. Oh, dude. I gotta eat some more of this. This is seriously insane. And man, go check out some more of my favorite pork recipes. Subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, dude, this is so good. So go make it. Oh my gosh.